Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/malicious compliance. In today's episode, boss presents a shitty contract and says I can quit if I don't want to sign, so I do. You take my fishing spot, I'll make sure you don't catch anything. Don't want me to fix the servers? Fine. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Boss presents a shitty contract and says I can quit if I don't want to sign, so I do. I want to mention right away that I posted this on another sub, but it was removed because it didn't fit the rules. I've added some details to this post that I hadn't earlier because I didn't think they were relevant to that sub. With that out of the way, let's get into it. I used to work for a local youth center, Kindorf. I won't name them. The story goes like this: the man who ran the center knew a friend of my family, who told him I was going to college for graphic design and video. He calls me and lets me know that under the umbrella of the youth center, he wanted to revive an old local magazine, and wanted it to be run by youth. I was 18. He said that as well as a physical magazine, there was going to be a video component that would go on YouTube and the website, and that I would be a great fit for the team to help with this. He also said that they would assist in getting all participating youth started towards their own business. I was thinking, wow, I'll have a job right out of college, this is great. I was promised on the job training, an eventual pay increase to $18 per hour, and a lot of other stuff. I started at $14 per hour. I won't go into every detail, but basically I was told that I was to write articles for the magazine as well, as all employees would do this. No problem. Slowly but surely we built a small team. I recommended a friend from college, who would eventually become the editor. Let's call her editor. Another person who would become my friend was hired, and directed/edited a lot of videos I worked on. We'll call him director. And there was also a sound technician, named Rapper. There were other employees as well, but the four of us were the main magazine crew. The rest helped but mostly worked at the youth center for youth reasons. Now that I've explained that, we can get into it. Over the course of my employment, a lot of shady things happened. The center claimed that they would help us start our own businesses, and we should get business licenses, and they would contract us. In reality, this was a way for them to avoid paying taxes, and making us do it instead. As well, there were a lot of make a video about blank orders, but no instructions until the finished video was handed in. We did stories on a lot of cultural topics, so this could be really difficult at times. On top of that, the boss was almost never there, so when we had questions we basically had to figure things out ourselves. Despite all of this, I was loyal. I worked there for 2 years, and I'm confident that I was a major reason we were going for a while, because whenever somebody messed something up in video, I was the one they came to fix it. Sometimes with hours left to deadline. I filmed almost all events we covered. I knew where all of the files were for everything, the passwords, and a lot more. People asked me about all of these things when they forgot. I also managed the YouTube page all by myself. But for whatever reason, the boss started to trust us less and less. Locks were changed on the doors so none of our keys worked. Director and I were placed in an office where somebody was constantly watching us. Our time cards were argued about, and we were accused of only playing video games while at work. We played our Switches at lunch. I think he had trust issues because he's a sketchy person. He had the Kindorf fake being friends with everybody in case you need a favor view on life. Director and I started to be blamed for bad camera framing when we weren't even at the shoot. This got to the point where we were told to take extra training, but editor, who was mostly responsible for these mistakes, was treated like a queen. Even if I complained about something editor had done, nothing would ever come of it. Then comes December 2018. Boss calls a meeting. He tells us all that the magazine will be transitioning into its own business separate from the youth center. Here, on top of video and writing duties, we will be searching for contracts, and driving to other cities in our province to film. He then proceeds to hand us a contract that we're required to sign if we continue to work for him. This contract sucks. There were a lot of things in there that would screw us over, but the main things were that while working for them we wouldn't be allowed to conduct our own contracts, and if we quit, we can't work in our field in any of the whole province for 6 months. On top of that, our job titles would be changed to interns and our pay would stay the same even though we were promised $18 per hour. Literally all of us were mad about this contract, but whenever we brought up problems, he would say this in non-negotiable. It's a perfectly normal contract. He also accused me of trying to find loopholes whenever I tried to discuss it. I have no idea about contracts, but if you're claiming to start youth up on their own businesses, this is not how you do it. He let us know that to aid with the transfer to a new business he was in talks for a new contract worth a lot of money. But didn't disclose how much. Probably so we wouldn't feel entitled to be paid for more doing all the work. He gave us a week to look at the contract. After that there would be 1 week until Christmas. I spent all of the week dreading the next Monday when I had to make a decision. I begged boss to change it, but he stood firm. He even indicated that if we weren't happy with it we might as well quit. This is important. Then, on the Friday evening, I noticed that my job is listed on a job board. I'm shocked. I checked Facebook, the magazine website, and everything. My passwords are removed. I have no login. He is trying to strong-arm me into signing. Then on Monday my GF and I get breakfast before I go in, when I get a text from director letting me know he got fired upon walking into the building. My gears start to turn in my head. If he fired director, then he's definitely counting on having me to do all of the work still. I know that I won't get fired because I'm the only person capable of making videos properly. So instead of going to work, my GF and I type up a letter of resignation, walk over to Staples and print it out, and bring it over to work. Before I give it to him he greets me, and lets me know that he fired director. The casual way he talks to me about it confirms he expects me to stay. But he did this to himself by listing my job and arrogantly stating that we should quit if we didn't like the contract. So I hand him an envelope which has my letter in it. What's this Aqualink 97? My letter of resignation. He is shocked but accepts. I think in that moment he finally realized that his actions have consequences. Then he walks inside. I say goodbye to everybody, hugs all around, pack up my stuff, then find him crying in the sound room. I talk to director later, and he tells me that his mom was connected to boss's huge paying contract, and that he actually hadn't had the contract yet. Director's mom was really upset, and since they hadn't signed anything yet she pulled some strings and got director the contract instead. Turns out it was worth something like $60,000. So basically the boss tried to strong-arm us into signing a shitty contract, then lost the only competent employee, and a $60,000 contract. Editor and rapper eventually quit too. Rapper decided to focus on his music career, and is doing pretty well for himself. I worked video contracts for a while until I got a full-time job again. So, as a result of all of his shittiness and overall arrogance, boss no longer has enough money to print an actual magazine, is short-staffed, constantly going through new employees who always end up quitting and rarely upload videos. Their videos have shitty titles too, like the title of the camera footage, and rarely have edited thumbnails. I think it's safe to say we destroyed his ambition of starting a business exploiting youth talent. Right before Christmas. And just to be clear, even though I had the effects that my quitting would have on him in mind, I also knew that the youth center was funded separately from us, so we didn't ruin any poor kids' lives. You take my fishing spot, I'll make sure you don't catch anything. So back in high school I was in what you might call a problem class. Just about everyone was rowdy, rude, and didn't listen to the teachers. I on the other hand, was an introvert who liked to keep to himself, but that didn't exempt me from the collective punishment our class frequently got, so I tended to resent not only the class that got me in trouble for doing nothing, but the teachers who enacted it as well. One day the school decided to take a new direction in punishment and started what they called enrichment activities. Instead of giving us extra homework or detention, they'd send us on field trips to local areas to do different activities like cleaning up litter or volunteering at a soup kitchen. I loved this because not only was I getting less homework, but I often didn't need to be around my classmates, who would take this time to goof off with their own friend groups. Eventually our enrichment activity took us to a park outside our small city where a nature center put on a show of all the rescue animals they were allowed to bring, a big snake that was a pet but was released into the wild, a red-tailed hawk they were nursing back to health, etc. And after that we had a choice. We could either go on a long hike, or we could go fishing. I love nature, and I visit my cousin's cabin once every summer, so I chose to go fishing. I even asked beforehand if I could bring my own rod and tackle. I was told yes, especially since the school was footing the bill for the rest of the rods and the bait. So when they separated us into the two groups for our activities, I was kind of surprised at how small the fishing group was. It was just me and 5 others, but I figured it was for the best since less people meant less noise to scare the fish away, right? Nope. As soon as I noticed who else signed up for fishing, I realized that it was a group of the loudest, most rambunctious group of teenage boys in the school, who thought they'd be the only ones to sign up so they could just hang out, but unfortunately I did sign up and actually wanted to fish, so they were stuck fishing. And they let me know. As soon as my hook hit the water, they were loudly complaining about how boring this was and trying to get the chaperones to let them go somewhere else. But to no avail. Eventually I got sick of them and told a chaperone I was going further down the lake to try and find a better spot, but really I was just trying to get away from the noise. Once I found a nice spot, I pulled out my best lure and spent some time fishing, and fairly quickly caught something. I reel it in and I had caught a pretty nice sized smallmouth bass. I ran back to the group to show everyone, mostly because the chaperones always insisted on getting pictures of these events, and the boys went from complete disinterest to excitement very quickly. Now that they saw someone could actually catch something, they wanted to catch something too. I felt a fair amount of pride, for about 5 seconds. As soon as I released the bass and went back to my spot, the whole group followed me, staying as loud as they were before. I tried to tell them that they'd scare off the fish, but they didn't listen. So I tried to go to a new spot, and they followed me there too. At this point I just wanted to fish in peace. I asked a chaperone to get them to stop following me, but she chastised for getting them interested than not teaching them how to fish better. Eventually I got sick of them and hatched an idea. I swapped out my lure for a regular hook and marched over to a spot with a lot of reeds and lily pads. I told everyone that fish like to hide in the reeds from predators, true, and that the best way to catch fish during the daytime is to try and get their hooks in the middle of the reeds, not true, and they believed me. Pretty soon they were getting frustrated as their hooks got caught on reeds. One guy cast his line so far it got caught on a branch, another pulled so hard trying to get his line out of the reeds that he broke the crappy rod the school bought, and eventually they all gave up and went back to the first spot to hang out again, and I got to spend the rest of the trip fishing in peace. Don't want me to fix the servers? Fine. I saw a similar post on here and wanted to share my own story. Note that there really wasn't much maliciousness here, but I did have to comply with policy or be out of a job. Background: sometime around 2000, I worked for a major finance/brokerage company in the IT department. I worked the overnight shift alone and, among other things, my responsibilities included monitoring of the company's most important servers, including the trading servers, as well as performing almost all repairs on these servers since my shift was the least impactful on business. These servers were how every trade from every broker worldwide was processed on behalf of clients. We had 8 servers all behind a load director. For those non-IT people, think traffic at an intersection with a cop letting vehicles know which way they can go. At the time, I reported directly to one of the assistant vice presidents for IT. Cast is simply me, Don, AVP, and Kathy, VP. So at some point doing my job, I begin to notice issues with our trading servers. I determine the cause, come up with the plan to repair the failing parts. On the first night of the week, I will take down 2 servers, repair them, bring them back up, and put them back behind the load director. I will repeat this for the next 3 nights, allowing all 8 servers to be repaired with minimal impact, and have the last night of the week in case anything goes the way of the toilet. Understand that while I had authority to do this with just about any of the other 1,000 plus servers the company had, I could not touch these without the Don's approval. So I send an email to the Don detailing the problem, the parts one needed to order, the plan, etc. All I needed from her was a response that said, approved, and I would have everything completed within 2 weeks. Also note that I had red receipts turned on for all my emails. As you can probably guess, I heard nothing back. 2 weeks later I follow up with another email reminding her of the issue, and including all the documentation I had sent with the first one. Nothing. Another 2 weeks go by and I send a second follow-up email noting that this isn't a question of if these machines will fail, but only a matter of when. Crickets. Another 2 weeks go by. It is now about noon on Friday, and I am home having just begun my weekend. I get a call that goes something like this. Me, hello? Kathy, is this Morpheus J? Me, yes. Kathy, this is Kathy. Me, ooh. When I am off the clock, that part of brain turns off, lol. Kathy, it's Kathy. Your boss. Me, OHH. Heya Kathy. What's? Oh, this cannot be good. I am now realizing that my boss's boss is calling me at my house, and that all the excrement must have followed an upward trajectory towards the device circulating air. Kathy, all the trading servers have crashed. We need everyone on hand. Me, I'll be there in 20 minutes, it was usually a 35-minute drive. Basically, one server crashed and the load from that server was transferred to the remaining 7, which caused number 2 to fail under the increased load. Rinse and repeat for all 8 servers. I arrived at work to find the entire team is there with 8 brand new servers ready to be built. We get everything built, locked down, restored from latest backups, and online again by 6 p.m. Then home for the weekend. I get to work Sunday night, my Monday, and the first thing I do is print out emails and those oh so precious red receipts. I place them in a nice folder on the corner of my desk. At 7 a.m. Monday morning, end of my shift, Kathy walks into my office and asks me to join her in her office. I say sure and grab the folder and follow her. When we get to her office, present are me, Kathy, Dawn, and a lady from HR. Kathy, so, Morpheus J, I understand from Dawn that it is your job to monitor the trading servers. Can you tell me what happened? Me, sure. Opens folder, as you can see from this email dated XX/XX/XXXX, highlighted for your convenience, I notified Dawn of the problem and requested approval to go ahead with the fix. Here. Opens folder again, is the read receipt showing she read it the following morning at XX AM, again, highlighted for your convenience. Rinse and repeat for the other emails. Kathy, okay. Thank you, Morpheus J. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Fallout, the company lost a stupid amount of money making good on every single trade that didn't happen due to the crash. I came back to work that night to find out from the team that Dawn was gone. I never told them the details. I was assigned to the backup contingency planning team and later to the team that implemented the BCP, so that something like this would never happen again. We got a new AVP. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.